Welcome to a very special edition of our weekly Bitcoin show with me, Paul Buitink, and co-host Tuur Demeester and Joop Hartog. Hi guys.
Good evening.
Today we have the pleasure to talk to Olivier Janssens, or internationally known as Olivier Janssens, I guess, a self-proclaimed Belgian Bitcoin millionaire living in Monaco, who offered a $100,000 bounty in Bitcoin last month to the ideas that could replace the Bitcoin Foundation. This week he announced the winners, being Lidos and Ares, and we'll be talking to Olivier the next 30 minutes about his vision for Bitcoin and why he started the bounty in the first place. Everyone viewing this video, please feel free to ask questions using the Q&A tool. Hi Oliver, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm very glad to be here.
Are you currently in Monaco or in Belgium?
I'm in Belgium right now. I'll leave back from Monaco like in a week or something for the rest of the summer, probably. But yeah, it's also very nice weather here, so can't complain anyway.
Right. So can you tell us a bit more about your background first? When did you get into Bitcoin and mining and all of that?
Yeah, so I started mining back in 2010. I really regret not hearing about Bitcoin in 2009 because, I mean, the moment I saw it, it was sold. We were mining with only a couple of people, like Art Force, maybe some people still know him. Was heating his house with it in the winter, like a couple of graphic cards. It was pretty cool, like a very select group of people, and yeah, that's how it started. So I mined a lot of Bitcoins back in the day. I kept most of them because I didn't really need the money. I still had some other ventures going, and I really believed in it. So I always thought to myself that after the internet, the next thing we need is like a decentralized sort of currency before Bitcoin even existed. But I never heard of cryptocurrencies before, so I was already thinking about making some sort of virtual gold but yeah, of course I was doing so many things, so I sort of like shelved the idea, and then later on I found about Bitcoin and was like, yeah, okay, this is amazing. So I immediately jumped on it.
Right. It seems like your camera is off, Olivier. Can you turn it on again, or?
Oh yeah, sure.
I'm seeing you fine.
Yeah, same here. It's working fine. This
Oh, okay. That's just something on my end. Okay, that's fine again. Okay, interesting. So basically, you're saying I regret the fact that I only found out about about Bitcoin in 2010. But I guess most people would be very happy if they would find out about it in 2010. But
yeah, and I agree with Roger Ver. I mean, like I also said, like the Bitcoin is the most important invention since the internet, and now we're only at the beginning. Like the internet in the 90s. And I think there will be so many possibilities that we don't even aware of, like the DAOs coming out right now, which is also one of the reasons why I selected Ares as the runner-up, because they really started using it properly. You know, if you know what I mean.
yeah, and on Reddit you call yourself an anarchy star. So is anarchy or anarchism also like your political philosophy?
Well, I'm definitely leaning towards anarcho-capitalism, libertarian, minimal government, and I'm also very interested in the subject. I've been talking to people like Hans Hoppe, and I've been having an email discussion with him because one of the other things I want to help create is a real free society, be it virtual or in a real life world somewhere, experimental, in an area where we can get some autonomy declared. I'm really interested in the legal implications of that. How would you base a society, like which legal structure do you need to have maximum freedom but not revert to real, like a negative type of anarchy with chaos, basically, you know?
Right. My connection was just dropped off, but I'm back now. So I couldn't completely hear your answer, but let's just go to your bounty then. So can you tell us a bit more about this bounty? Why did you start it, and also how the community's response to it was?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, so for the bounty, well, I started noticing that the Bitcoin Foundation wasn't really representing us very well anymore. I mean, at least they were not being very transparent about everything. Can you still hear me properly now, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think all of us. Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, yeah, it's sort of, in my opinion, got like worse and worse on the transparency. What are they doing? And they had many occasions in the past where people gave them this feedback, but somehow they still failed to act on it in the last year. And then with the election of Brock, it's sort of, I mean, I have nothing against the guy personally, but I don't think it was the right choice for something as sensitive as Bitcoin right now, where the media is trying to spin it negatively if they can, or at least they used to do it. I mean, right now it's becoming much better. But something sensitive as Bitcoin really needs the right people behind it at the beginning. So I just saw it as a sort of like, yeah, I mean, self-fulfilling prophecy that the Bitcoin Foundation is really not going in the right direction. And I started analyzing the problem, and I also offered a $100,000 bounty in the end to help rectify the problem. That's why I made it in the first place, to solve the issue. You know, I was like, why can't we as a community stop needing something as a Bitcoin Foundation to present us, and why do they represent us in the first place? I think Bitcoin is apolitical, and it shouldn't be made political, not by the foundation, not by anyone else. And I was also very worried about the core devs being sort of funded by a political organization such as the Bitcoin Foundation. And with that combination, I started the bounty, and yeah.
And you were a member before, and so are you still a member right now, or have you cancelled your membership?
Well, I guess I'm somewhere in between. I mean, I made a post on the forum that I would resign my membership, right? And then they told me like, okay, you have to submit to these email addresses, and then it will be officially removed. The problem is also that I would then be removed from the forums, and I wouldn't have a say anymore. So I was like, you know, for now I will still keep it so I can give some comments on what's going on. But yeah, I mean, like personally, I don't really support the organization anymore. I'm trying to find solutions to make everything better for Bitcoin.
So, like over the past 2 years, you said in your Reddit post that you've been trying to push the Foundation for Transparency and Clear Communication for years. So, basically, you try to change it from within the foundation first, and then you noticed that you couldn't change the foundation, and that's why you started a bounty.
Yeah, and I'm not the only one. I mean, many people tried. I think I was just one of many that sort of like tried to push for transparency and try to help steer some decisions without much effect. Yeah.
Yeah. And have you been talking? Did they contact you afterwards, after you posted the bounty, to try to, you know, maybe influence you or to work to a solution?
No, not really. I think they're just either they have their head in the sand, or I don't know. I don't know if they're really interested in it. It will also sort of make them recognize the problem. So I still hope they would. You know, I have nothing against the foundation. I just don't think it's the right solution to represent Bitcoin. You know, I think the community should represent it, and the foundation can maybe assemble people and push for it, but it shouldn't control the core devs, in my opinion.
I'm curious, Olivier, what has been the feedback on your initiative so far? Like, what have you gotten in terms of emails and from the community in general?
The feedback has been extremely positive. Actually, when I first posted the bounty, it was really beyond my expectations, and I sort of, at one point I got a bit scared, like, wow, this is much larger than I expected. And I also felt like I had a huge responsibility to make the right choice, because people were really looking towards me to make the right decision. So I really took longer than I expected myself to make the decision. I also had a lot of submissions, I think 30 or 40. Many people also want to have it kept secret what their ID was, so I didn't make a final list of everything which was submitted, because someone asked me about that. It would be very hard for me to do, but there were really interesting ideas. But in the end, I had to look at the overall picture, and I think the combination of my current Lighthouse crowdfunding, and like I said in the Reddit post, I think that was the right pick, because you have a core dev which is involved in a project. The project itself is completely being run on Bitcoin. Yeah, so that's why I picked it. I can go into more details if you like.
Yeah, let's talk about the winners now. So, who did you pick as winners, and why these projects?
Yeah, so the winner is Lighthouse from Mike Hearn. So it's a Bitcoin core dev. I think most of the people know Mike Hearn. I really respect him. I mean, he's doing a lot of work. He also is pushing for Bitcoins, formerly more obscure things such as multisig. He was also the first one to point that out at a conference somewhere like 1 or 2 years ago, I think, which sort of got the traction on multisig going, because there's so many things in Bitcoin, in the protocol, that people aren't aware of, and he's been pushing for that, which I really respect. He's pushing for making it more public. Yeah, Lighthouse, obviously, that's the platform is completely run on a blockchain, so it's sort of is in line with the Bitcoin philosophy that it's decentralized. Yeah, I think it would be the best solution to have crowdfunded stuff such as the Bitcoin core devs when they have a new idea or they have a timeline for the next 3 to 6 months, that they go to the people and say like, okay, this is our goal. We have these features which we want to now implement. We have to work on this and this and this, and then they just collect the money from everyone. And I'm sure they will have no problem at all doing that. Also, you can have like on Kickstarter some bonus features, such as, yeah, if you collect this amount of money, then we will also add, I don't know, secondary chains or whatever people really like. So I think there's many possibilities, and it's only not just limited to the core devs. You can also have like Bitcoin lobbyists that can, or no, like lobbyists who have experienced lobbying, that then they go on the platform and then they just, you know, announce, I'm really good at lobbying, I love Bitcoin, you want to sponsor me, you know? So I think there's many possibilities which are far beyond the core devs that can happen with this.
So it's really possible then with this solution to crowdfund certain projects or developments, but can you also project manage things on it? Like, for example, I saw Better Means as one of the people talked about Better Means a lot on Reddit too, and I know Better Means. It looks like an amazing tool, but they stopped developing it, I think. But is that something? All these features that are possible in Better Means, will that also be possible with Lighthouse?
Well, yeah, it depends on which features. I mean, personally, I don't think we should create another foundation, even if it's with a direct democracy and voting in there. I think that's might create other political situations. So if we have, if you have new leaders emerging, that I don't think that's just too much overhead, you know. So I think instead of voting who's gonna decide what, we just decide with our feet or with our money. Like, okay, if they propose something good, then we fund it, you know. I think Better Means might be. Sorry.
Yeah, no, we got some questions from the audience, and I see there's of course people saying, Bitpump saying, no question, but want to share huge respect for trying to save Bitcoin with the $100,000 bounty. But he also has a question. He says, thanks for funding the crowdfunding platform. What is your expectation that users will really be funding the needed changes for Bitcoin? Most people might be selfish and not contribute.
Well, personally, I don't think that will happen. I think there's many interested parties that want to see Bitcoin evolve. Like, everyone who has Bitcoins should be interested in making sure it keeps evolving properly. So I think not only the people or just the consumer, so to speak, also companies like BitPay and other commercial players, they have a huge interest to make sure that they support Bitcoin. And I think now they can do so much more directly than going through the foundation.
Yeah, because that's always the question I have in mind. Yeah. Go ahead, Tim.
I was just going to say, I agree. I really think it's a way to raise these companies' profile. I mean, they can make it public that they're contributing to certain technical improvements, and I mean, that's going to be news for sure, and that's going to be a boon for them also.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's very positive if BitPay comes out and says like, okay, we now just funded the core devs, sponsored the core devs for like 100,000, like I just did. You know, it's positive. It's positive advertising for these companies. It's awesome.
But they can do that now as well, or not? Can't they just say, well, I'm going to sponsor core devs as well?
Well, I guess they could, but like now, right now, everyone is looking at the foundation to do that because they know the foundation is paying for the core devs. So then you have to contact the foundation and say, like, can you give the money to them, or maybe you can go to Gavin directly and offer him some money. But I mean, I think it's still too much, in between there. If we do it directly, then they can also, the core devs can announce who sponsored them or make some nice competition, whatever.
Right, because that's the thing that always amazes me is that Mike Hearn saying that the core dev is underfunded, and it's something we've been hearing for so long time now. But companies like BitPay and Coinbase, but also all these wealthy Bitcoin individuals, they all benefit, of course, from Bitcoin keeping its value or with the value going up. So there's some crucial things that have still not been dealt with, like the decentralization, mining issue, and all of the other issues. So I don't understand why they're not already funding development more than they do. So of course with your platform it could be easier, but still there's this mismatch between the funds they have and the funds that are needed to develop the core protocol.
Yeah, that's what I hope Lighthouse will resolve. So when you have the direct interface to the developers, that you can just it will be much easier to do that.
All right. So the question from Richard Meyer is asking, imagine your project will work. Would you still believe there is a role for the Bitcoin Foundation, and if so, what would be the role?
Sure. I think there's so much to do, and I think the Bitcoin Foundation has a lot of connections with Washington, from what I've heard. So I would love. I mean, it's not my goal to get Bitcoin Foundation out of existence. I would love to see them flourish, so to speak. I just want to make sure they don't control too much of Bitcoin where it becomes an impediment for everyone. So the Bitcoin Foundation tomorrow makes a proposal, for example, even on Lighthouse, that they have like a couple of great lobbyist guys or legal guys and they want to go to Washington. I would only support something like that. Or they can still collect fees through their memberships. So I definitely think there's a future for them.
Yeah, so maybe the foundation will start using Lighthouse.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, and tell me a bit more about the Runnerup prize.
Yeah, so the Runnerup prize went to Eris. It's based on Ethereum. It's an amazing concept. I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with DAOs and DACs and stuff like that. I know it's like a sort of new term, decentralized autonomous organizations, and what their functions are.
Maybe you can elaborate a little bit on that. I guess there's still quite a few people out there that don't understand those concepts.
Okay, I'm not sure if I'm the best person to explain it, but basically what it makes possible is that you can have like organizations or even like governments, any type of ID being run completely virtual, and you have like virtual shareholders, basically it's like almost like a company which runs itself. And I think it's best to study this at the Ethereum website. I think Vitalik made a really nice post about like explaining it properly, because it's very difficult. It's very simple once you get it, but it's also very difficult and confusing if I don't explain it properly. So I would recommend you to just Google DAO and go to Ethereum blog and then read about it there. But basically, why I selected Eris is that it's sort of like a really nice first sort of implementation of the software version of this, which makes it possible in real life. So they built it up on Ethereum, and it allows for decentralized forums, voting systems, anything really or even crowdfunding platforms to run on it.
It's amazing.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I urge everyone to look at the Ethereum website to understand Ethereum and DAOs better, and then also to understand Eris. It's all very complicated, but it sounds amazing if it all works.
Yeah.
We have other questions. One question is from there's a question I also had in mind. It's a bit it's a different topic, but let's just discuss it. You're so out in the open with regards to your assets and being a Bitcoin millionaire. Do you sometimes, are you not afraid of that it might jeopardize your freedom, or that people might take advantage of you?
No, well, first of all, I took the necessary measures. I think like all higher level figures like Roger Ver and a couple of others, like the one who just bought 30,000 bitcoins through the auction with a face there. All these people are sort of like targets, if you want to say it like that. But yeah, I mean, you can always think about like what will happen, and you don't have a life anymore, right? You just need to take some precautions for sure. But like once you are known, and this is not like, for me personally, Bitcoin wasn't the first thing I made a lot of money with, so I'm sort of used to it. And the reason why I'm sort of like saying it sometimes that I had a lot or have a lot of Bitcoins is that I think it's positive, like to see what's possible with them. Like when I book these private flights, it really gives a message to the luxury world, so to speak, that Bitcoins have a use and have a future, and that they should also start focusing on that. And I think when the private jetting happened, that it also got a lot of people talking inside the richer community, so to speak. And not only that, it also attracts the attention of people who have a lot of money, and as a result, they might also start investing in this. So I think it just has like a positive effect.
Because you were the first one to buy a ticket for a private jet with Bitcoin, right?
Yeah, exactly. I pushed the company to. The reason originally why I did it wasn't especially for Bitcoin. I mean, everywhere I go, I most of the time ask like, can I pay with Bitcoin? And I know the answer is going to be 99% no, but at least people know at that point there's a demand for it. And even if it's only 1 in 100 that say like, that start thinking like, oh, wow, maybe I should look at Bitcoin and start accepting it, because if one guy asks for it, maybe like in the future I will do more business with it. And as you can see, like many of the companies who start accepting it as the first ones get a lot of publicity for free. Such as with private flight, they also got a really nice amount of publicity for that. So yeah, I think it's a really smart thing to do for people to consider accepting it, even if it's like for luxury products, And yeah, what I want to say is that originally I wanted to book a private flight, and it was so inconvenient with credit cards because it normally costs like $5,000 or $10,000 to get a flight, and then you have to charge it on your card. And if your card doesn't have a high enough limit, or it has like limitations, it has a high enough limit, but you're not allowed to charge 10,000 at once, and you have to try it in 3 times. But when they do a 4th time, then they're banging your card, and then it gets blocked. So it just proves how inconvenient credit cards really are. And the guy was also very happy, the owner of Private Flyer, not having the possibility of chargebacks, 0% fees. So it's just a huge advantage for everyone. And at that point, you really see the real life advantages of using Bitcoin compared to the traditional payment systems.
Yeah, interesting. Hey, what do you think of altcoins? Asks the Archivable. You think they will ever take over Bitcoin?
Well, so far I think they all have been pretty much clones. Maybe some alterations, but mostly just the same old. I think I'm mainly a believer in Bitcoin right now, but stuff like Ethereum might either, if Bitcoin can keep up, become an alternative for certain things, such as DAOs and the Max. But I think it's also possible in Bitcoin to do this. So it's just like, I like them because they create competition for Bitcoin, and if they have new ideas, either Bitcoin needs to adapt, and if Bitcoin can't adapt or won't adapt, then it will create new possibilities. So I'm very positive about them, but there's not a coin that at the moment I say like, okay, this is the next big thing. I think Ethereum is really nice for the possibilities it creates. But besides Bitcoin, I don't really have like one which is in my main interest right now. No.
Do you own any altcoins?
I own a couple of Litecoins, and I guess some Dogecoins. I haven't opened that wallet for a long time, but yeah.
Don't. It's going down. Maybe Job, you want to chip in?
No, not on the altcoins part. No, definitely not. I totally agree with him on that part. but we already heard that a couple of times. So.
It's not
But
that
I
hard.
do agree. The platform that he is building, for me personally, actually, I can now invest directly later on in one or two of the core devs, which I like, without having this organization to go to in the first place. You have to have an opinion about it nowadays. You have to either join them or be against them or something like that, and that is already a border for like joining the Bitcoin Foundation. So this is just take the borders apart, and you can go directly yourself to do an investment in a Bitcoin member or whatever. It's a great idea. Great you sponsored Mike Hur on that. The second place was also very interesting, though. Didn't read a lot about that yet, but.
Yeah, I think the second place guys have a really interesting future too. I mean, it's all so interesting what's going on. I literally believe we're creating the future here, and we're really at the edge of everything, like also of society. I mean, the implications will be huge and very positive, decentralizing everything basically.
Yeah. If people really start seeing the decentralized corporations and stuff like that, when they dig into they will be amazed for the guys who didn't read about it yet.
Yeah. There's another question from the audience from BitPumped again. He asks, should we fork Bitcoin to change block rewards where part of the Bitcoin generated will be used to improve Bitcoin? So not only they will then go to miners, but parts of the rewards will go to actually improving the code.
Well, we are already DEFCON trying that, right?
Well, my opinion is that we shouldn't force anything, and it should all be voluntary. But I'm also a voluntarist, so that's sort of forcing people to pay for the devs, which I don't think is positive. I do think, however, and that's also one of the reasons why I'm doing this, that people who have a lot of bitcoins or are wealthy, also in general in society, have a duty to give back to it. So that's also why I feel a duty towards Bitcoin, that I got lucky, or I had a good vision. I don't know, it depends how you look at it, but. I also really feel that I have to sort of keep contributing with the money I made initially, and I think others will follow suit, and they're already doing that. Like I think also, for example, Roger Ver has a very positive influence on Bitcoin. He's also giving back in his own ways by for example, making blockchain and other projects.
Yeah, and at the very least, maybe your bounty will lead to the foundation becoming more transparent and sharing more what they do, and so that could be a positive side effect as well, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I really hope. I mean, if they just become a little bit more transparent, then it will already have helped, So.
Yeah, oh, great work.
And it's to me, it's so interesting that even like the tycoons like Jeremy Allaire, he was just on CoinDesk I think 2 days ago, where he was also frustrated that he couldn't get the core developers to do what his vision is, whatever that was, and he wanted, like, it seemed like he wanted, in a way, what is he saying? It's very ad hoc, it's very reputation based and unwelcoming to new participants. So the cool thing, I think, now is that the market gets to decide which developments are really needed. I'm sure quite a lot of Bitcoiners might disagree with what Jeremy Allaire has as a vision, but yeah, let the market decide.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think it was becoming a huge bottleneck for Bitcoin that the core devs were sort of stuck behind the foundation, and now I hope that it will really become streamlined again.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then one last question. People seem to be very interested in getting your opinion on the Bitcoin price the next couple of years. To get 5 upvotes already, so share it with us.
Well, I think Tuur might be better in answering that, but I don't know. I would also have to guess. I'm really happy that the price has remained stable in the last couple of months, and I'd rather have a stable price than going from 600 to 5,000 and back to 300, because the media is gonna pick up negatively on that. So I'd rather have stability in the price and even stay at 600. I know people won't really like that, but than having it go crazy and then go back to very low numbers. That's much more important for Bitcoin in itself. And at one point, yeah, I mean, maybe in the next months, in the next year, I think it will steadily start increasing. And well, like it's pretty much, the possibilities are limitless, and hopefully we will never have to switch back to another currency, and then it won't matter anymore, right? It will all be Bitcoin, and that's it.
Yeah, we can all de-bank. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Great. Well, thank you so much, Olivier, for sharing your time with us. So where can people find you?
Well, you can add me on Twitter, at Olivier Janssens. It's like in my thingy here at the bottom. You can also mail me if you like. It's olivier@destiny.com. I'm always open to advice, like suggestions, ideas. Feel free to contact me. And if you know some good investments in Bitcoin, I'm also interested in those. So.
Great. Well, thank you very much. And to your job, thank you too. See you next week.
Thanks. Thanks for the nice interview.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.